Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 7 of season 3 of the F123 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend for the duel in the Formula 1 crown. We return to the Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out yesterday's video where we went to Imola, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Of course, I've returned to F123 now. I felt a little bit rusty in that first video, but obviously we had good fun, and of course more and more upgrades going onto the Audi 2-2 Motorsport car meant that we are definitely making some good progress towards the front of the field as well. If you missed out on the F1 Manager video that went live last night, of course, our first race with Alfa Romeo, would highly recommend checking that out as well. You know, F1 Manager kind of is going to be a bit more of a fun, casual on the side series for me. You know, one that I sort of want to do without too much pressure. Of course, the main focus is still on the My Team, you know, daily uploads until we win that World Championship. And speaking of the World Championship, we're definitely not winning it at the moment. Sergio Perez, 17 points clear of his teammate Max Verstappen there, with Carlos Sainz and George Russell right behind him. We're in P9, just 1 point ahead of my teammate Alex Albon, then leaving us 5th place overall in the Constructors. But of course, it's the Monaco Grand Prix. Anything can happen this weekend. We know that. Strict track limits, though, hopefully aren't going to be too big of a problem here. And before I forget, later on tonight at around 7 PM UK time, I'm going to be live, finally back over on my Twitch channel as well. We've got the first round of WOR. We are at the Belgian Grand Prix circuit. I'm looking forward to finally get back into the streaming. But anyway, let's get on with this. Well, here we are then, ready for the Monaco Grand Prix weekend. This is the kind of track where I'd love to believe we can fight for pole. But of course, strict track limits, you know, around Monaco, most corners you don't have to worry about it. Turn 1... and the second half of the lap, obviously through all the chicanes, you have still got to be a little bit careful there. It was right up towards the wall at Sandoval. Need to try and make it out to at Q1, sorry, on just the one run this weekend. But yeah, the soft tyres definitely, obviously, I only really use the mediums in free practice, so it's always weird coming into qualifying. Suddenly you've got all this newfound grip. Just try and keep it nice and tidy. Obviously, you've got to wind up to Q3 here in the Principality, so as we make our way through the final couple of corners, get on that throttle as early as we can, clear run up towards the line. What is the time going to be? A 10.2 puts us immediately into P5 there, half a tenth away from Alex Albon, who's up in P3. This car has got the pace to fight. Well, out of Q1 then with no troubles. Need to be aiming now for sub 70-second lap times then if we want to make it through into Q3. I think it was Carlos Sainz in the end that went fastest in Q2 after a second run in his Ferrari, but what are we going to be able to do there? Much tidier line through the first corner. Gotta keep it clean though. Again, no big risks need to be taken just yet. Whoa, that is not the line though. As we make our way into Casino Square, gather it up on the exit. Well, that's thrown away a couple of tenths. Well, having to attack a little bit more through the final couple of turns of our second run, but just about have kept it clean and tidy. Oh, almost into the wall on the exit of Anthony Nogues once again. They're up towards the line. 10.7, only good enough for P12. But definitely have to do another run. This has suddenly come a bit of a last chance saloon for us here as we make our way through the final couple of corners. 30 seconds left on the clock. P12 at the moment. I want to find about another second off my first time. So let's see what we can do. Even better line through turn 1 there. It's all about trying to get as much of that car over the inside curbing as you dare. As got to try and lay apex our way at the top of the hill there. Still not quite what I wanted, but it was better than the first one. 3 tenths up immediately come the end of sector 1, and the rest of the lap was still also pretty sloppy. So hopefully we can continue to gather up time, gather up pace and confidence in the car. That's what Monaco is all about. Just being confident, being at 1 with the vehicle underneath you. So I'll rattle off the curb there. That's going to compromise us slightly to make our way through the tunnel. Just dropping about another half a tenth or so, and it doesn't sound like much, but fine margins here. Oh, that was not good. Come on, focus. No, it's all over. It is all over. We have thrown it away here at the Monaco Grand Prix circuit to make our way through the final couple of corners. Just cannot get used to the brakes on this car, and that has been an absolute disaster. P13 on the grid here. I cannot believe it. That is super, super frustrating there. George Russell on a 109.5 there. Pierre Gasly P2 on a 9.9. Albon makes it through into Q3. They're on exactly the same time as Charles Leclerc. But yeah, I mean, our Q1 time would have been good enough to see us into Q3, but just could not get it hooked up in Q2. We're going to have to refocus, regroup. There's still points available, of course, on Sunday, so we need to get on with it.
Formula One returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than inches from the race-ending barriers. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Perez, Verstappen, Sainz, Leclerc, Gasly, Magnussen, Norris, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Mr. Monaco, Théo Pourchaire, Joe, Liam Lawson, Stroll, De Vries, Tsunoda, Bottas, Fittipaldi and Logan Sargent. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Let's talk about Mr. Monaco. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Well, overtaking up Monaco is not an easy thing there. Alex Albon lining up P3. I'm 10 places back, all the way down in P13 there. So we've got a lot of work to do over the course of the afternoon. But that being said, if ever there was a track where I can hopefully spring a little bit of magic, it is here in Monaco. Softs to mediums the plan today. But of course, we know this venue. It's all about trying to get the undercut there as Mercedes, a front row lockout, Albon, beating out both of what has been a very, very dominant Red Bull car. I don't think, unless they have a bit of a miracle today, I can't see them winning this from 4th and 5th. Right, let's do this thing though, waiting on the 5 red lights for the Monaco Grand Prix. That's the lights out, and away we go. They've got to make sure we get off to a nice, clean, tidy start. It's already, 3 wide in front of me. So we head down in towards turn 1 there. Norris, Piastri and Esteban Ocon. There's a tiny bit of contact with the Frenchman. We'll get around the outside of him as we head up the hill, but Ocon not willing to give up on it just yet. They're side by side with the Alpine as we make our way through into Massenet, but we are up 1 spot then off the lineup. Down the inside we'll go though. So we head in towards Upper Mirabeau there. Just try to avoid the Armco as we're still side by side with Lando Norris. Can we try and find an avenue around the outside of Kevin Magnussen as we head through? No, we won't, but we will get around the outside of Lando there. So 3 places gained then off the start of this GP, and immediately up and into the top 10 will go. Looks like Albon has lost 1 place there as one of the Red Bulls has gained a couple off of the start. So they must have had a mega job. You know, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, it's probably Verstappen. So maybe Red Bull, you know, I said in the intro, might not be able to win this from 4th and 5th. Second, they've absolutely still got a chance to win this thing. There's a lot of cars on the medium compound tyres here early on. Probably going to go medium hards then this afternoon. So we'll wait and see as to how that works out for them. But as we're still sat looking at the Aramco logos, Hamilton once again leading the way then here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, took that win last season here. Was his only win up until the final couple of Grand Prix, but Hamilton clearly loves this place at the moment. Often in real life hasn't been a particularly strong track for Lewis. But yeah, here on F1 23, he is absolutely gelling. Thought about it down the inside of Kevin Magnussen there. Big double front lock up So we made our way into the chicane, but yeah, we don't want to take too many massive gambles too early on. Ah, no, I've completely forgot about the track limits then for a moment. First warning of the day. Got to be so careful with those. Still a penalty round here. Could be absolute just pain come the end of the afternoon. We almost were able to get a run on Magnussen because of it, though. As we'll make our way in through the final couple of corners. I think the Danes... No, he hasn't got the DRS off the car in front of him, so we might be able to get a run then on Magnussen as we have a look to the outside in towards turn 1. This is a scary place to be with Kevin, but he does give me the room, and around the outside we'll go then. A number to P9 of the Monaco Grand Prix on just lap 4. So 4 places gained in 4 laps. Mark loving that one as well. Oh, nick the wall. It's only light green damage, so hopefully it won't have too big of an effect on the car's performance, but that is frustrating. It's the problem we've got early on here. Charles Leclerc actually on a set of hard compound tyres, so I can pretty much say it now. Unless he gets lucky with a safety car or a red flag, Ferrari have absolutely screwed him here around the Monaco Grand Prix. But yeah, just because of the way the field spread is, you can't really come out into clear air unless you pit stupidly early. That's a really dumb warning. Yeah, you can't really get clear air around this venue at the moment. So yeah, especially with that front wing damage now, I don't think it's really worth boxing and changing that wing. But I think we're yet to get a safety car here at Monaco on F123. It just has been a weirdly clean race every time I've done it on this game, as that was close. Almost put it in the wall down at turn 1. That would have been one way to get a safety car. Yeah, that front wing damage is really costing us early on. Should have tried, well, I mean, I'm always trying to keep it at the wall, but and now we are under a lot of pressure from Kevin Magnussen, I think, as well. These soft compound tyres aren't able to provide the grip they once were either, and I think we've kind of cooked them, so it's all a bit of a nightmare. At the moment, you can see the rears definitely overheating. Front left as well, in not much better shape, so it's been a tough start to the Monaco Grand Prix. It's been a tough weekend up to now, to be completely honest. It was only really Q1 that kind of went the way I wanted it to, but can we try and get these tyres back in a good operating window? Or are we going to have to try and box really early and go for a big undercut? Whoa, I've been hit from behind. That was Magnussen. I remember this happening quite a few times last season, and yet Kevin straight into the pit lane then early on this afternoon. I mean, that's quite a Kevin Magnussen-esque thing to do. But yeah, we'll see actually. No. Straight down into the escape road at turn 1. We'll try and gather it up again, get out of everyone's way. And yeah, this Monaco, it's actually been a very, very good track for us so far inside F123, but today just does not appear to be our day. Really still struggling with the new brakes on the car. That final chassis upgrade, if you haven't made it this far, do not do that final chassis upgrade on the brakes. It makes the car feel so different and so much slower. These tyres just aren't working the way I want them to. Into the pits very, very early on at just the end of lap 10, but we are going to come out then in some clear air. Magnussen, though, is going to be a long, long way ahead of us, and yeah, just a nightmare start to this GP. I mean, could we get a safety car? Could we get a red flag that really brings us back into it? I don't know at the moment, but yeah, I think it's going to be one of those days where we just got to try and get the car to the checkered flag. We've done pretty well so far this season, you know, with the exception of a couple of races, but today just does not quite seem to be my day. Magnussen looks like he's trying to go to the end on his set of hards. To be honest, I was amazed we didn't actually go in the wall down at turn 1, but we got a fresh start on this set of mediums. But yeah, I'm not really convinced. There we go, new fast lap of the day. Desperately trying to make sure I don't overheat these tyres, but we'll obviously try and utilise the pace out of them. Even if it's just we try and get ourselves back to where we were squabbling before we pit, that could be really, really good. But I don't really know what we're kind of aiming for here. We're only at 1/3 distance. I think the main aim is survival. But you know, if we could still be in the fight, even if it's just a handful of points, I think we've just got to try and take it today. End of lap 14, though, all over the back of Fittipaldi is down the inside at Larascas. Almost contact between myself and the Williams there, but we managed to get to the inside of him, and we've made another overtake then here in Monaco. Looks like Magnussen's actually able to make some progress as well there. See, trying to have a look around the outside of Sonoda down at turn 1. But yeah, this is, you know, at least we got some racing action going on at the moment. I'm still eyeing up Lando Norris. There's all Magnussen almost in the wall. So must have tried and almost got into the back of Yuki at the wrong moment. So are we now going to be able to find a way around the Dane for the second time this afternoon? Just sat in a traffic jam at the moment. Traffic paradise, as the man in P19 just in front of us would say. But can we try and get a run? Well, I want Kevin. Not with oversteer like that, we won't. Just feels so easy to under-rotate the tyre at the moment, as I'm a little bit nervous about what the fuel's doing. I think we should be able to get that up into the green as around the outside of Kevin Magnussen. Tiny bit of wheel bang in to make our way through the final corner, but we'll switch him on the exit and we will make it through then. Up at a P20 of the Monaco Grand Prix. At least we're making some moves. Got to get some racing action in there, haven't we? So yeah, that fuel is slightly concerning. And we switch to Yuki though as we head down the hill. Yes, we can. I mean, look at the grip we've got over the AI. Down the inside of the AlphaTauri. A little bit of a lock-up. And are we going to be able to get both AlphaTauris in a single lap? We need to try and get a good run out of Portier and down the hill as Magnussen has made the move work on Yuki behind me. Yeah, look at this. Down the inside, Logan Sargent will go there side by side through the tunnel. This is always a little bit sketchy. The Sargent's got some fantastic straight line speed. We'll try and switch to the inside. Not quite able to make anything happen there. We get a warning for a collision with Logan, but round the outside then as we head down in towards to back. And we're through. Yeah, we got quite a big fuel problem. We are way under on fuel and we are burning through a lot of it at the moment. I don't know if we're going to be able to lift and coast, but I guess we've got to keep trying to push until we get to the top 10. If we get into the top 10 and then just fuel save that second half of the afternoon. That is not great. I thought we put like 41 laps worth in the car still, but I reckon it got the calculations wrong. This is just a nightmare at Monaco. Piastri and Esteban Ocon though in the pit lane, so they were fighting in and around that top 10, and we've got around the outside of Esteban. Oscar right there still, so maybe we are still in this fight, who knows? But we're burning like 0.2 of a lap extra fuel every single time round at the moment. And we've got more than half a race to go. Whoa, Oscar! Whoa! Okay, I'll accidentally make an overtake apparently. That was scary. Oscar Piastri, I think, tried to have a look around the outside of Nick de Vries. Completely ran himself off into the marbles as down the inside of the McLaren. Oh, that's aggressive. That's rather aggressive. Lots of wheel bang in there. But will we make the move work? We'll get around the outside through Lower Mirabeau. Down into Portier. Yeah, apparently so. That's 2 more overtakes done then here. That was rather aggressive on Nick de Vries, but it takes 2 to tango. As our teammate then into the pit lane. Lando Norris is the one I'm really interested to know about at the moment. Where are we going to come out relative to him? There we got Bottas into the pit lane, as well as Lance Stroll just in front of him as Lando Norris then. Are we going to be back inside the top 10? Not quite yet, but we are going to be ahead of the McLaren here. So I think once these final few cars have peeled into the pit lane, as we'll just aggressively narrow his run out of pit lane, but minus 0.6 laps worth of fuel, we are going to have to do a lot of lift and coast, or pray for a safety car. Quite a brave gamble. There we go. I think our last couple of cars are into the pit lane. Théo Pourchaire and Zhou Guanyu. So we're going to be back in 9th place then of this GP. It's only 2 points. But 2 points that I really was not expecting us to be in a position to be fighting for just a few laps ago. But we've still got half a Monaco Grand Prix to go. And now we've got to start trying to save fuel wherever possible. Effectively now we're doing a Daniel Ricciardo challenge. Remember back in 2018 where he was like 160 horsepower down? That's effectively the mindset. Oh no, Lando! Don't start doing that, mate. Come on. Lando Norris ran into the back of me. He's trying to lift and coast there. He hasn't actually peeled into the pit lane though, so I reckon he got away with it. But yeah, even lifting and coasting rather aggressively there. 4 seconds off my fastest lap. We barely saved any. The other option I did think we might have is maybe get lapped by Hamilton. I mean, we're going to have to lose a lot of time, but I think we're going to do that anyway in the remaining 18 laps here. So I'm so sorry to all the cars that are stuck behind me. This is going to be the widest Audi in the world. Ow! That one was a much bigger hit. Lando Norris there. And I like the fact I got a few comments when I posted this last year, or last season even, about me saying ow. It's because, funnily enough, someone ramming into the back of you when you're not expecting it hurts your wrists on a force feedback wheel, so on a direct drive wheel at that nonetheless. So Lando Norris then into the pit lane. How many cars do we think are going to run into the back of me before the end of this race? It is up to the car behind not to crash, so I am not showing any mercy in that regard. If they hit me, it's their own stupid fault. Ow! Yep, that's another one. Oscar Piastri going to be into the pit lane then. It's basically a question of who doesn't crash into the back of me might be able to walk away with points this afternoon. We are getting the fuel though, slowly but surely back the right way, but it is very, very slowly but surely. Yellow's out. Oh, don't say it's Lewis. Lewis Hamilton might be coming to a standstill here at the Monaco Grand Prix from the race lead. Yes, he is. Hamilton, with just 10 laps to go here, appears to be out of it here in Monaco. And could this bring out a late race safety car for us to really try and save me? But I said at the start, Red Bull, they looked like they weren't going to win this one, and suddenly now they got a 1-2 here at the Monaco Grand Prix. Heartbreak for Hamilton, as once again he will retire from yet another Grand Prix from the lead. Shapes of Singapore from last year there, and poor old Lewis, that must be absolutely heartbreaking. We're still half a lap under on the fuel. It is slowly going the right way, but I need to get lapped here. That's basically all we've got now. Well, 8 laps to go then. We're down less than half a lap under on fuel. 47 seconds behind Alex Albon, who I think now, of course, is back up into the podium places by virtue of Hamilton's mechanical failure. But yeah, it's kind of that weird thing, of course, of obviously we're driving so slowly anyway to save the fuel. But of course we're also having to drive this slowly to make sure we get lapped, because I don't think I'm going to be able to bring it back to where I need it before the end of this thing. So Verstappen and Perez are still in hot pursuit, but they're going to have a lot of slower cars to navigate right towards the end. Of course, the only other thing we could do is make sure the Magnussen's a lap down, and then just limp round the final lap of the afternoon. But very, very weird scenario late on here in Monaco, but we are trying to recover it as best as possible. The fact that we're still in the points after the way the early stages went is nothing short of mind-blowing to me. Ow. Yep, that's Magnussen to the back of me. That's probably going to be a new front wing then for the Dane. No, it's not. Okay, Magnussen's staying out there. So clearly that Aston Martin, they got a reinforced front suspension on that thing. I mean, can you blame them with Magnussen in the car? I'm not sure you can. I reckon Magnussen did pick up some front wing damage then from that incident, but he's just slowly dropping away from me slightly at the moment. The gap up over 1 second, of course. He's still gaining, especially with lines like that through some parts of the lap, but 6 laps to go. We might just be able to get this back to neutral. Of course, then if I go for one attacking lap, we're screwed, but are we seriously going to be able to recover this fuel, as now those Red Bulls have closed up to the rear of the field? 4 more laps to go then. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. Verstappen is not making, I'm assuming it's Verstappen in the lead, is not making the progress through these back markers as quickly as I was hoping he would. Now, Magnussen is going quite slowly, but we are now on desperate fuel saving in case I make it onto the final lap of the GP, and there's just some places where it's impossible to save the fuel we need to. Magnussen, I think, is, yeah, really, really struggling there, as you can see, practically crawling down in towards the chicane. This is not quite what you'd expect from the Monaco Grand Prix, but I guess this is also the only place you could expect it. Is, oh, one of the Haas cars out. That's Lance Stroll, who appears to be out of the Grand Prix very, very late on in the day. Too late, in fact, for a safety car. But yeah, Verstappen, ow, is only going through to back, and we're already down at the final couple of corners. I'm not convinced he's going to be able to lap me there, as Magnussen into the pit lane. That's going to promote Pourchaire and Liam Lawson now into the top 10 for Williams. So could Williams and Haas be on for their first points of the year here? 3 laps to go. We are still 0.2 laps under on fuel. And we've got more yellow flags. Someone else going slowly late on in the day. I think it was Magnussen perhaps getting a little bit caught up there. No, it must have been his teammate Oscar Piastri. Pourchaire has gone into the back of me. Will he stay out? Will he have to dive into the pit lane? Yes, he will. So Lawson now up to 9th place then in his Williams, but Verstappen is not making the progress I was expecting he would late on in the day here. So we might actually have to do all 39 laps still of the Monaco Grand Prix. And now Zhou Guanyu is up and into the top 10 then. So, oh no, Lawson's going to have me. Come on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Lawson and I side by side as we head down the hill. I do not want to give up these positions this late on in the day, as Lawson, I'm sure, would have been told by the Williams team, just bring the car home, get the points for us, please, man. This has been a ridiculous end to the Monaco Grand Prix. Are we going to see Verstappen get to us? I'm just trying to lift and coast as best as possible here, because, I mean, we're still under on fuel. If we go on to that final lap, we might be in deep, deep trouble here as we make our way down through the tunnel, lifting and coasting as best as we can. But, I mean, yeah, all we got to do is Verstappen's just got to get round Lawson behind me, but I'm not convinced he will there as yellow flags out. I think it's actually cars letting each other by side with Lawson to make our way down. This is the weirdest race I think I've ever had on F123, but Verstappen, he's passed both of the Alfa Romeos, I think, or at least he's got round one of them. We've been rammed by Lawson as we make our way into the final couple of corners. Is he going to let Max Verstappen by? He's going to peel into the pit lane. It is all over. It's Sergio Perez, though, who is at the lead of the Grand Prix. I'm going to let him by, and that's going to be P8.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance and a victory they can be proud of for many years to come. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves. So let's review the driver's standings. A result that will make Sergio Perez happy as he pushes his championship lead out even further. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for driver of the day?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick.
Let's move on to the constructors. And pulling further ahead in the standings, it's Red Bull. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Monaco Grand Prix, and Sergio Perez, I just assumed it was Verstappen leading the way here, but the Mexican back on top once again and will continue to extend that margin over his teammate there. Fourth on the grid to P1 come the checkered flag. A fantastic race there, and Red Bull's 7 wins in a row to kickstart this year. Verstappen P2 and Alex Albon, the first podium for Audi 212 this season. Clearly the car has got the pace, but clearly I'm just not got the talent at the moment there. Russell beats out Sainz, Leclerc and Gasly all on the lead lap, and then myself and both Alfa Romeos will round out the top 10 there. Bottas 20th and 9th when all is said and done, as Hamilton the only car not to make it to the checkered flag. It means championship-wise a 24-point gap now for Perez at the top of the table. George Russell 1 point clear now of Carlos there in P3, and Albon now jumps Kevin Magnussen up into P8, so we are now only a handful of points behind Aston Martin as well there. But yeah, Alfa Romeo with that double point haul means they leapfrog up into a pretty good 8th place there. It's going to take a bit of a miracle for another team to get close to that there. 3 points now back behind Aston Martin. I think the long-term goal is still fighting with Mercedes and Ferrari by the end of the season. But yeah, one of the weirder Monaco Grand Prix of my F1 career. Thank you all so much for watching this video nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back tomorrow when Formula 1 returns to Barcelona. You guys do not want to miss it.